Today I'm going to share the most important lessons out of the top 23 psychology books in the world right now. These books are literally going to make you smarter than your friends, so expect to learn more about psychology, philosophy, how to pick up chicks. Yes, that is a topic that I was interested in. I'm going to be ranking these books from congrats, you're now a genius, to it's gonna make you dumb. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is probably the most controversial book that you'll see in this video, and simply because it teaches people how to be evil. I can literally see you order this book after I said that. The book has been quoted by a lot of morally ambiguous people and YouTubers in particular, even though all YouTubers are morally ambiguous. And it shares 48 laws on how to be powerful, but more often than not, the laws include you being manipulative, caring only about yourself. For example, law number 20 is, do not commit to anyone. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another, making them pursue you. So, it's pretty fucked up. The book talks about how at one point in time, Queen Elizabeth was supposed to marry one of the leaders of the great nations because England needed allies, basically, and the marriage would have made that possible. But she knew that as soon as she married one nation, she's gonna gain the enemies of that nation. So she did a 140 IQ move and she didn't marry anyone, but she was still able to keep enough distance between her and the leaders of other nations. And by keeping distance, I mean dating them, but keeping them happy. She was able to gain their approval and friendship, but not committing to them. So she gained the benefits without the negative. This is similar to you being in a friends group and two people start fighting and you not taking sides, because as soon as you take the side of one person, you're gonna lose the benefits of the other person. They will become friends without benefits. So basically what the writer suggests, if that situation happens with you, don't take sides. Just sit and watch. I'd probably try to make your friends again, but I'm not the writer. I did commentary on my second YouTube channel and I criticized a lot of YouTubers back then. And a lot of YouTubers would try to do special things to me to try to get me to stop criticizing them. And if I had committed myself to any of them, I wouldn't have been able to criticize them or their friends. The book in general shares a lot of history, but it doesn't rely a lot on science and psychology. So it's pretty entertaining, but I wouldn't say like it's the best thing for self-improvement, but I'll put it in congrats, you're now a genius anyway, because I think you should read it. The Laws of Human Nature. This is the nice, not evil cousin of the 48 Laws of Power, because it basically relies more on science and psychology and studies, and it shares rules that actually help you in your self-improvement journey, and they help you become a better person. One particular law that I really like is the law of covetousness. Avoid the grass is green syndrome. Never say that the grass is green. Okay, no, that's not the rule. Basically, we always want what other people have simply because we don't have those things, not because these things are actually better than what we have. If you are literally saying, what the fuck are you talking about right now? I'll give you an example. I'm doing YouTube now, but I graduated in architecture and all my friends are architects. And when I look at them, sometimes I find myself wishing I had a stable salary like them, or the fact that they're able to go on vacations that are paid, or the fact that they're able to work with other people, even though people suck in general, but it still gets lonely sometimes when you're in your room at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday night. But basically, I wish I had the things that they have that I don't have. But then I remind myself that I'm literally doing my dream job. I make YouTube videos for a living. I've achieved the success that I've always wanted. I can travel whenever I want, to wherever I want. So I wouldn't be happy if I was doing architecture, but I only want these things because of the grass is greener syndrome. And this happens as well with relationships, where a person might see their future girlfriend better than their current girlfriend just because they don't have that future girlfriend unless they have a side chick. So I think this would be a great read and it will make you a genius. The Art of Seduction. This is the third book by Robert Greene, and I think it's interesting for someone who looks like this to write a book about seduction. But the book is really interesting. It basically dissects seductive people in history and it categorizes them. Because there's multiple types of seduction according to the book. For example, there's the people who use androgyny. And androgyny basically is features that you have in your body that look like the other sex. You know how when they make cool anime characters that are guys, they kind of always look feminine and they have feminine features, and that's literally what makes them cool. And it's the same with old metal bands where they all have long hair, and it's the same with me being emo. But that was the time when I used to talk to the biggest amount of girls. I used to always be insecure about me not necessarily having like masculine bones, like they're not thick. He thick, boy. He thick, boy. But then I was exposed to this idea that guys can also be seductive and attractive by using androgyny. So basically, androgyny is a seductive type of seduction. Hope that makes sense. The book also talks about anonymity, like being anonymous. A lot of people probably know this, but if you share too much, it actually limits your seductive ability. You can actually be more seductive if you shut the fuck up and let the other person talk and let them basically assume things about you that aren't necessarily there, but they're projecting. I told you the book is evil. I'm gonna put it in made me better just because there's amazing other books that I don't think they should be compared to this book. All right, Epictetus, Manual for Living. This is where we get into my bread and butter, stoicism books. If you don't know what stoicism is, I was basically exposed to it by PewDiePie the first time, and it's amazing philosophy. I find myself talking about it so much. I even have a tattoo that says Memento Mori, which is a stoic thing. We'll talk about that. But basically, Epictetus was basically a slave in the Roman times, but then he was freed and became a philosopher. One of the most important things that he shares in this book is something called the dichotomy of control. It's the idea that there are things in your life that you can control and things in life that you can't control. When something you can't control comes to your mind, you can literally start ignoring it, not wasting any energy on it. I found myself benefiting from this a lot when I become angry or frustrated or sad because of stupid things that happen to me, but I know that I can't change. Congrats, you're now a genius. Seneca on the shortness of life. Unlike Epictetus, the first guy, Seneca was actually born rich, and he was literally the advisor of a huge big emperor called Nero. I just love this quote of him so much that I have to share it without context. He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. Misfortune weighs most heavily on those who expect nothing but good fortune. This is just such an amazing idea called negative visualization. I hope I said that right. But basically it entails you thinking about bad things that could possibly happen to you and sometimes assuming the worst so that you can never be saddened or surprised by bad things that happen to you. So he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. It's like if you already have thought about the bad things that could happen to you, they can never affect you. They can never be bad for you. They will never fuck you up. Okay, I'm trying to explain this in simple terms, but yeah. Because Seneca was freaking rich as fuck boy and making dollar coins, he actually valued time more than money, which explains the name of the book, On the Shortness of Life. So in the book, you'll find a lot of ideas about him teaching you how to say no to things and stop wasting time and giving it without thought. Most importantly, to stop postponing your happiness. Stop saying tomorrow, I'll wait for that thing, and when I travel or when I leave the country or when I do something. No, enjoy the actual moment. That's gonna be a congrats, you're a genius again. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. So Ryan Holiday is a writer who's probably the guy who made Stoicism famous. He has 3 books on Stoicism and he has a YouTube channel and he always talks about it everywhere. Ego is the Enemy basically is ego equals bad.
Wow. Oh my God. Crazy. No way.
Okay. We've all seen these videos of Gary Vaynerchuk on social media where he yells at people because they don't post enough videos.
Are you fucking kidding me? You want to change the world with 1 post a week?
And he always says humility, which is the opposite of having ego.
Humility is such an unlock for happiness. Ego is just insecurity with makeup on.
People don't post on social media because they think of themselves too much. They're afraid of their videos not getting views. They're afraid of people saying they seem cringe. The more ego you have, the more you think highly of yourself, the less you're actually able to become better. So ego makes you unable to learn something new because you already think you know too much. And when you fail, it makes you unable to become better because you start blaming other things and circumstances because you think you're too good to actually fail. So again, all these books are gonna go into congrats, you're now a genius. Okay, I'm biased to Stoicism, so I won't be so kind to other books. The Obstacle is the Way. This book is literally the definition of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I really like the fact that it talks about how Stoics used to love having bad circumstances coming to them, and they would even seek these circumstances and situations. Like when something shitty happened to them, they would be like, fuck yeah, I'm happy. It talks about how when Thomas Edison's factory burned down, he was like, finally, I can start a new factory or some shit like that. And he was like, go tell your mom to come. She has to see this fire. It looks amazing. And it talks about how the Stoics have this this saying called amor fati, which means love destiny. And it's like, no matter what happens to you, you need to love it. The book is deeper than how I explained it. I didn't find the book as rich as Ego is the Enemy, so I'm gonna put it at made me better. Courage is Calling is Ryan Holiday's third book, and it's pretty much the worst one out of the three in my opinion. I wouldn't necessarily call it stoic per se. I don't actually remember a lot of the lessons that were shared, so I'm gonna put it read only after you finish the rest. Ryan Holiday, I'm sorry, don't quit writing after you see my review. A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. If you want to learn about stoicism without reading all these books, you should read this book. It basically summarizes stoicism and stoic philosophy. It talks about a lot of the nice ideas like negative visualization. It even talks about like dealing with insults, how ancient stoics would respond when people called them shitheads. It talks about one of the most important stoic sayings, which is memento mori, which means remember that you will die. I'm not gonna explain it in this video because it's just a recap, but I would say it made me better. Out of stoicism and into the subtle art of not giving a fuck, there's no person on this planet who isn't illiterate, who has... What did I say? Illiterate, who hasn't heard of this book. It's been written by Mark Manson, who also has a YouTube channel, and he's summarized this book, so it might be a good idea to watch that video after this. This book has elements from all the Stoicism books that I've mentioned. The main idea of this book is that you can't control everything, so you have to choose the things that are worth giving a fuck about, basically. There's a lot of good lessons, and Mark Manson is actually a really good writer. Like, you feel engaged while reading the book. So I would suggest this book to someone who is a Gen Z, basically, who doesn't want to get bored while reading books, or maybe it's your first book. I grew up in a city called Aleppo in Syria, and it's a city where everybody knows each other. When you walk in the street, people know you and your family and your parents. So there's a lot of shaming involved in order to control the masses. And I always used to care so much about what people thought of me, about what I wear, about what I do and say. And one of the things that I had to break out of when I started YouTube and posting social media clips was that mentality. I would say a lot of people read this book simply because they are the same. They just want to stop caring what other people think of them and say about them. The book also literally tells you to kill yourself, by the way. Metaphorically, like your egotistical self. It actually has a lot of shared lessons with Ego is the Enemy. So I would say it made me better. I wouldn't say it made me a genius. But I love Mark. I like how I'm saying I love Mark as if he's watching this video and I don't want to hurt his feelings. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you're terminally online like me, you probably know who David Goggins is. He's the guy who's really strong and runs and shouts at you. Everybody asks how he got so strong and how he's able to have this tough mental capacity. I don't know. And his idea is something called the callous mind. Calluses are these things that develop on your hand because you go to the gym and you don't use gloves. And it basically makes your skin stronger. By hurting your hand, you actually make it stronger. And it's the same with the mind, David argues. He grew up in a really bad environment and he went through a lot in Navy SEALs training. And he shit his pants and kept running. Let's just say that. He reads negative comments and uses them as fuel as he runs. Now, this video doesn't use science or study at all, but it's pretty much based on David's life story. So if you're into that type of books, you should read it. I'm not, so I would say read only after you finish the rest. I'm more into scientific shit. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. This is Jordan Peterson before he got corrupted by freaking politics and started being annoying.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
I would say the value of this book is the fact that Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, so his words are actually valuable. And there's a lot of very good lessons in the book. For example, how you should always walk with your shoulders back and your head straight because lobsters. When two lobsters fight, the winner releases specific chemicals that make his shoulders back, and the loser releases specific chemicals that make him dumb as fuck. The book tells you that if you actually walk with your shoulders back, you can actually simulate that environment and release good chemicals that make you a winner. That's an oversimplification, but you get it. Another rule, treat yourself how you always treat your pet, or basically treat yourself how you would treat someone you care about or you're in charge of taking care of. Like, most of us don't have empathy towards ourselves. We feed our dogs and cats at their perfect time and we take care of their health, and if something bad were to happen to them, we start crying No, just me. Basically, we take care of other people more than we take care of ourselves most of the time. So the book tells you to have empathy and respect towards yourself, and that self-care is not selfish. It's pretty much your responsibility. But the rule that probably changed my life the most is the rule about not lying. Always tell the truth, or at least don't tell the lie, or something like that. And basically, he argues that when you tell a lie, it's basically like creating a false timeline or a false reality. And now you live in this timeline that is not correct. It's corrupt. At least that's how I understood it. And there's no way to go back to the normal timeline without paying consequences. You have to correct your lie. So with that framing, I try not to lie as much as I can. 12 Rules for Life definitely made me better, but it was boring in certain times. So just keep that in mind. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. This book pretty much mind-fucked me. There's no better way to say it. I would credit a lot of my YouTube success to this book, and it definitely contributed into me moving from Syria to Dubai. The main idea is that cool people are not cool. Let me explain. We always idolize specific characters and rich people in particular and highly successful people. And we always say that they got rich and successful because of their personality and how much they were hardworking and how much they stayed late at night and worked hard and woke up at 5 in the morning, and they're crazy geniuses that were born different than us. But basically what the book argues is that the reality is that most of these people got big and successful and rich because of their environments, whether it's their location or their parents or things that were outside of their control. Like Bill Gates was only able to make Microsoft because he had access to the best computer in the world in a specific university that he was only able to go to because of his rich parents, and he had access to it that other people didn't have, and things like that. Environments matter. You need to put yourself in positions that dramatically make it easier for you to become successful. That book is definitely going on the congrats, you're now a genius. Blink is also a book that I read when I was obsessed with Malcolm Gladwell, but turns out it's not as good as Outliers. It pretty much teaches you to be racist. Not really, but the main idea of the book is that your gut is smarter than you. It shows you how experts in painting can automatically know when a painting is fake, or firefighters can automatically know when they go inside a house that it's going to collapse simply because of intuition and practice and experience. When I think about 18-year-old me compared to now, I used to be a lot worse at judging characters. When I used to meet people, it was basically hard for me to decide whether or not a person is good or bad from meeting them. But now it's become a lot easier, and that only came out of my gut feeling, my intuition that has developed with years. So the book basically teaches you how to know when to trust that gut feeling, how to basically think without thinking, and when to not trust that feeling, because it mentions a lot of examples of people trusting their gut feeling and it was basically just racism. I would say read only after you finish the rest. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a really famous and talked about book, and it's probably the best book on how to win friends and influence people. Most of us think that being cool is enough to make people like us and become friends with us. I know that's what I thought. But actually, it's more about you being useful or valuable. And valuable can mean a lot of things. It means listening to people. I read this book after I broke up from a relationship while I was in a university. And we basically spent the first 3 years together, and then we broke up. So I didn't have any friends in university, and I wanted to make more friends. And the book showed me how much of a bad listener I was with my friends. I would always be talking, trying to be cool to them, but I would never listen to them. And I would always try to one-up them when they would say something cool to try to show that I was cooler because I wanted to get accepted. But then I understood that it doesn't work like that. And that's actually one of the rules in 48 Laws of Power as well, more or less. The rule in 48 Laws of Power says that you should never seem like you're smarter than others or something like that. So anyways, the book taught me on how to be valuable, how to listen to people, and how to be appreciative and stop criticizing. And even if I wanted to criticize, it taught me the right way to do it. So this is a great book if you want to learn how to friends and influence people. The War of Art, Do the Work, and Turning Pro. Okay, now we have 3 books from Steven Pressfield. All these books get an automatic congrats, you're now a genius, assuming you're interested in content creation, YouTube, writing, or any of the creative things. I don't know if I would have become the YouTuber that I am today without these books. Okay, I just want to say something that I forgot to say in the original video. While reading these books was the first time that I actually cried real tears from my eyes, simply because these books understand you so well. They tell your life story to you as if you're being watched by a narrator. It was like nothing I've experienced before. I forgot to say that in the video for some reason, but keep watching. Throughout the past 12 years I've been on YouTube, almost everyone I meet here in Dubai, almost everyone, they want to start a YouTube channel, but they're postponing it for whatever reason. They're waiting for the right camera or the microphone, or they're waiting to quit their job, or they're waiting to travel somewhere. Nobody starts. And the book literally shows you how you're postponing this shit and teaches you how to get over it. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna read the book, you're gonna start posting, you're gonna become such a great YouTuber, and you're gonna make a video saying, guys, I just wanna thank Rami Roy for sharing these books, because that was the thing that made me start this channel and start posting. The rational male. We have reached the controversy. We have reached the controversy and misogyny part of the video. This book pretty much is one of the originators of the red pill. You know, the red pill, the one that you see all over Instagram Reels and TikToks and Andrew Tate and a lot of the ideas, and alpha and beta. All these things more or less came from this book. One of them controversial ideas that I think helped for me was something called one iris. The book basically claims that there's no such thing as a soulmate. I know that a lot of people are gonna freaking report me to the police right now, but basically the book was helpful for me because I used to always romanticize and idolize my partners. I used to always become so depressed after breaking up and thinking that I lost the love of my life, even if we were simply incompatible. I was definitely blue pill before I read this book. Now, I'm not saying all the ideas in the book are great. There's definitely a lot of controversial ideas, which is why the author gets a lot of attacks. But when the author says that the book saved a lot of lives, I can definitely see that 100%. For me, The Rational Male definitely goes into made me better. The second part of The Rational Male is called Preventive Medicine. It's definitely more misogynistic, and it talks about how women want different things in their life based on their age. I wouldn't say it's the best read, to be honest. The book is gonna be the first to win the prize of going into the it's gonna make you dumber tier. However, the third book, which is called Positive Masculinity, this is when the author actually realized that going political is the right move, and it was, because here it talks about how the world is feminizing men and turning them into pussies, basically. It was written in this era where people were attacking masculinity. So for me, I found it actually very relevant. I would say that it goes in made me better. The Way of the Superior Man. This book is shilled by Hamza all the time. He makes 600 videos about it, and it was actually embraced by Ali Abdal even. A lot of people definitely call this book misogynistic, so I'd be careful, and if you're sensitive, don't read it. This is less about game and less about picking up girls and more about how to be a man, basically. The thing that I like the most about it is the concept of polarity. Women and men attract because of polarity in masculinity and femininity. If a guy was too feminine and a girl was too feminine, they wouldn't attract. But a masculine man and a feminine woman would attract. And also a feminine man and a masculine woman might attract as well. I would say that's a great read. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Guys, I told you, I used to be blue pill. So this book was kind of helpful. It's written by a psychologist, and it talks about the patients he used to have. The moral of the book is that nice guys suck. We all have nice guy behaviors, like being agreeable, like agreeing with everything, even though you don't like it, you actually hate it, or avoiding conflict, basically walking on eggshells, trying not to fight with a girl, or seeking nice comments from a girl, so you become a feet licker. Okay, that was a bit extreme, but you get the idea. What nice guys don't understand when they offer niceness to a girl is that anybody in the world can be nice. It's not something valuable, which is the reason why girls don't like nice guys. They don't offer anything special. So I would definitely say it's a great read. The best thing you can do right now is to watch this video, because it's going to increase your chances of becoming smarter than your friends, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future videos.